Hey guys, it's your girl. Oop, here we are. Attorney Simone Redwine with another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? I apologize for the delay. I was trying to get one of the court documents, but apparently it's not publicly available just yet. Just yet. But I wanted to use this time to talk about an interesting development in the Tony Busby extortion lawsuit. So if you check out my video from yesterday, I did a breakdown of basically some of the issues that are going to arise in the John Doe lawsuit against attorney Tony Busby. He is the attorney who is representing over 100 of Diddy's victims. So he's being sued for extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Oh, forgive me on my eye. Oh, chat of intentional infliction of emotional distress for, ooh, Lord. Basically, he's being accused of filing this lawsuit or threatening to file a lawsuit against this John Doe person who claims he's done nothing wrong. But basically, Tony Busby is trying to use his threats of mediation in a lawsuit that if this guy doesn't pay up, in turn, he's going to create embarrassing videos about him, and it's going to be a whole thing. So the overview of the lawsuit is this. So it all began when Tony Busby sent what he described as a standard demand letter on behalf of his clients that were against John Doe. But Doe alleges that it was more a blackmail letter. It wasn't just a demand letter, it was a blackmail letter. And what we're going to talk about in this video is some of the allegations of who this John Doe might actually be. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. So, so basically, John Doe alleges that it was more of a blackmail letter, including, according to the lawsuit that was filed in California Superior Court, Busby threatened to recruit additional victims to make similar claims against Doe unless he agreed to mediation. Now, some people have asked, they've said, well, wait a minute, you guys in the chat, the jury, hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, hit that like. You guys are super smart. And you asked the question, well, what if Tony Busby, let's throw out a name. Let's say I'll say X. Tony Busby represents a client and gets them to settle against person X that was at Diddy's party. But then he has another client down the line who was like, person X was in the room, when I was roofie. Our responsibility as lawyers is we got to sue all the defendants, and we actually cannot make an agreement that says, if you settle with me for this client, I promise not to sue you for any other client. We can't do that. It is literally against our professional responsibility. But here, what John Doe is claiming is that Busby threatened to recruit additional victims to make similar claims against them unless John Doe paid up that money and agreed to mediate. Well, you can't, what I'm saying is you can't allege that if you settle with me this time, I won't ever sue you again. No, because if I have other clients that have claims against you, I or anybody else will in fact sue you. And legally, this claim falls under the California extortion statutes. In California, extortion is defined as using threats to compel someone to act or pay money. Using threats, if you don't do this, you're going to have to pay me some money. Now, that's not the same as saying, if you don't settle with me, similarly, but if it's a truthful thing, you can always go to the cops. So I want to be very clear about that. You can always go to the cops. The problem becomes if something is untrue. Also, it says here, Doe also accuses Busby of intentional infliction of emotional distress, because of course this man is stressing, right? This is a multi-millionaire who is like, if the public finds out that I was running around with Diddy doing all this nasty stuff, then I could be screwed, literally, not just the Diddy style. All right, so let's jump into who we think it is. So 2 of the claims out there have been Jay-Z and Kevin Hart. Jay-Z and Kevin Hart. Abby just said, Cassandra D says she thinks it's Kevin Hart. I want to see who y'all think. Oh, Nazra said Ashton Kutcher. I like that one. I'm leaning Kevin Hart. I'm leaving Kevin Hart because Kevin Hart likes to file extortion lawsuits. Let's not forget, Kevin Hart filed and claimed that his buddy, that a woman he was cheating with tried to extort him. He wrapped up his buddy into that lawsuit. Kevin Hart is not afraid of that. And hold on, let me see. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me see one more thing. Let me see. Let me spell it right. Quinn Emanuel. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking at the different law firm. Also, though, the second allegation is that it could be Jay-Z. Now, y'all remember when Jaguar Wright went on the Piers Morgan show and was making those allegations about Jay-Z. Jay-Z's lawyer quickly picked up the phone and called over to the Piers Morgan show and said, take that ish off the air. His lawyers picked up the phone and said, get that off the air. And it was removed expeditiously. So Jay-Z, of course, is not afraid to use the legal system to obtain justice. But an interesting comment that was actually made by Milagro was this. So Milagro is a blogger who she was very active during the Tory Lanez trial. She is sure Tory Lanez is innocent, and she was very vocal and active. Well, she has recently been sued by Megan Thee Stallion for some of her comments for defamation. And she made this statement. I'm blind as a bat, so let me make it larger. She said, I don't know who on earth Tony Busby is referencing, but a news report claims that Quinn Emanuel filed the lawsuit against him. They are the same ones who filed one against me. Do with that what you will, and pay very close attention to the way the caption was worded. Tony Busby sued for extortion. And basically what she's trying to imply is that Megan Thee Stallion is on Rock Nation. So perhaps could it be Jay-Z who is this John Doe? Because he too is on Rock Nation. And generally big time firms like Quinn Emanuel, I talked about them yesterday. The Quinn Emanuel law firm, the partners bill at $3,000 an hour. So this is somebody with big money, long, tall money. Here we go. Yep, Jay-Z, someone said Jamie Foxx. Okay, hold on. Let me look at these. Ooh. Okay. Oh, hold on. All right. Is that even how I spell? I don't think I spelled that right. There we go. Okay, hold on. We want to see. Yep. Yeah, they specialize. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Quinn Emanuel specializes in entertainment and media litigation. So they're known for that. They're known for representing a number of high profile plaintiffs, celebrities, and so forth. Ooh. Yes. So they have represented Rock Nation. They have represented, and they're currently representing Megan Thee Stallion. So those two can come into play. Also, we know that Kevin Hart, let me pull this down, that Kevin Hart doesn't play about extortion suits. Oh, yes, I am recording live from Diddy's jail cell, so that's why we got this background today. Yeah, someone said, yeah, I see the Jay-Z connection. Cassandra says, Kevin Hart has too much to lose. Look at all his commercials he does. See? Well, that's why I think at the end of the day, these lawsuits like this are going to be huge, because remember, Tony Busby's response stated that they're just going to file the lawsuit against this John Doe. So we're going to know soon whether it's Kevin Hart, whether it's Tony Busby, or whether it's somebody else all the way in between. Can Kevin Hart afford a $3,000 a month an hour attorney though? Yeah, he definitely can. He definitely can. So this kind of attorney would, the retainer to take on this kind of case would probably be about $100,000. He's got that, no problem. And he'd probably have it paid for by one of his production companies as a business expense. Because if his brand goes down, they're all screwed. Any production in the works is going to have to be tabled. So, yeah, a firm could work for anyone. Some people have said, what about Bieber? Bieber doesn't have, somebody said he wasn't have anything to lose. He was forced or it was duress. Somebody said, I don't put nothing past Jay-Z. Anika says that. I think people are getting extortion confused for blackmail. No, that's a good point. Let me pull up the difference between the two. Hold on. Because they are similar. Blackmail, though, is you actually did this thing. All right. Blackmail and extortion, it says blackmail and extortion are both serious crimes that involve coercion and threats to obtain something of value, but they differ in the type of threat used. Blackmail involves threatening to reveal damaging or embarrassing information about a person unless they meet certain demands. The threat is to the victim's reputation, relationships, or career. Whereas extortion involves using threats or force to get money, property, or services from a victim. The threat can include violence, property damage, or misuse of government authority. So it involves threats of force to obtain money, property, or service. Threats or force is pretty similar. The blackmail, though, is you pay me and I won't reveal something embarrassing. See, blackmail generally is not a crime. Extortion is. Because blackmail, you did that thing. It's no difference. We were all blackmailing our siblings. When our siblings stole something, lied at school, got in trouble, and you're like, if you don't give me money, I'm telling mama. That's blackmail. You actually did the thing and it's embarrassing, but I'm saying if you give me this money, I won't tell everyone you did that. Whereas extortion, generally, it's threats or whatever for something that you didn't do. So there's generally the issue is that I'm innocent, but you're extorting me to ruin my brand. You want me to pay up for the fact that you and I both know I didn't do anything here. And in the Busby cases, I think one of the issues that he's going to have in this case for extortion is the fact that in his press conferences, he said he wants to hold all the celebrities responsible who are in attendance. You better not, because Keke Palmer went to some of those parties. You better not sue Keke. Leave Keke alone. I do not believe under the law, you should not sue someone for attending, like, let's say it was a sex party. Attending a sex party is not a crime. Now, if you're aware that someone's getting roofied, even then is not necessarily a crime. Every state is different. Some states, you have an obligation to report a felony if you see it, and that arguably could be one. But in others, you just have an obligation to not make something worse. You don't have what they call it Good Samaritan law. They don't have Good Samaritan laws. Hit that like button where you actually have to prevent something from happening. It says he's just been letting everyone think what they want. He had been silently suffering, waiting for his turn to come out and say his truth. Are you talking about is that Justin Bieber? Oh, I think so. It says Justin Bieber seems to lay low. Justin is waiting to his turn to tell his truth. Now, I do believe that. But no, I'm saying, what do you guys think of the strategy? I want to hold any celebrity who was there that, was around my client. I want to hold them responsible. Arguably, I don't think that should happen. Also, legally, the claims in California under the extortion statutes, which is California Penal Code 518, there it defines extortion as using threats to compel someone to act or pay money. Now, John Doe also accuses Busby. Okay, but Busby denies all of it here. He's calling the allegations laughable, and he insisted the demand letter followed standard legal procedure. He said he didn't even ask for a specific dollar amount. All he did was ask for mediation. But here's the legal issues for Busby. All right. Now, the legal problem for Busby is that if the allegations of extortion are proven to be true, Busby could not only face criminal charges under California law, but even if those don't lead to a conviction, he could also face disciplinary charges in Texas under the Texas State Bar rules, which prohibit conduct involving dishonesty or fraud. And then, in addition, California laws on mediation communications are designed to protect confidentiality. So, if you're mediating something or you're saying, let's go to mediation, it's not supposed to become public information. However, here, it became public because the victim, the John Doe said it. Now, with the Jay-Z connection, okay, John Doe's legal team is the same one that represented Megan Thee Stallion. We talked about that in her defamation case against Milagro Grams, and I want to break that case down too. So naturally, people are thinking that Doe could be Jay-Z himself, because what happens is this: law firms are retained generally by a company. Quinn Emanuel had their like they may have Ford as the company, Rock Nation as the company, and then they just do all the Rock Nation contracts. So it wouldn't be unusual that they would represent all of them. But at the same time, it could always be a one-off situation. And they are based in California. Now, here's the other thing. The reason why more of us are leaning towards it potentially being Kevin Hart as well is because it was filed in LA. Now, how it works is generally the plaintiff wants to file it in a jurisdiction that's convenient for that plaintiff. And that's the case. If Kevin Hart is based in LA, Jay-Z is not. Jay-Z is not. And with Kevin Hart, he's already litigated and had other cases that were handled in California courts, specifically Los Angeles County as well. And they're able to sue Tony Busby because his conduct or whatever he's done, he has interactions with California too. Ooh. If it's consensual, could you still be charged for trafficking or transportation? Oh, we're talking about, I gave the example of just attending a S party, right? A nasty party shouldn't make you liable if someone roofies a girl that's there. No. And so the answer is, if you're there, could you be charged for trafficking or transportation? No. Because you haven't, trafficking is you're moving somebody from one location to another. No. If you're just there enjoying yourself, you're fine. I wouldn't, if you pay for it though, you could be charged for prostitution. Ooh. Hold on, we got Megan's a liar. She lied to all of us through Gail King. Yeah, she did. She did lie about doing it to that boy. But I think because she knew in the court of public opinion, if Megan Thee Stallion had told the world that she really did sleep with her best friend's man, air quote, that we would all think she is a terrible person. But it's better to be seen as an honest, terrible person than a lying, terrible person. Oh, that is true. Jay-Z, great point. Jay-Z and Beyonce just bought a mansion in LA. Now, it is my understanding that that did happen. So that actually would lend towards certainly being able to or wanting to file there. But their residency itself, they maintain it in, I believe it's Texas, because there's no state income tax here. Yes, it does say that. Yeah. High Mental Ability says Diddy also would have two parties going on at the same time. One that's outside where people were, and one in his house where they had the freak offs. Yep, absolutely. Well, also, apparently the judge is mad at the state regarding bail. We're going to add that, huh? Okay, here we go. I'm going to share this one with you guys too. So there is also an update related to this in the Diddy bail hearing. So it was supposed to be a hearing Friday, actually. Let me add this one. Hold on. I'm going to switch it over. All right, so here's what this just happened, like not even an hour ago. The judge in the Diddy case rules that prosecutors must destroy Sean Diddy Combs' jail notes. Remember last night we talked about whether or not these notes were privileged and how if they are privileged, the issue is it could taint the trial and potentially I don't think this issue could cause a mistrial, but if the prosecution is seen to have consistently done things to violate the boundaries and the rules of their oath, then it absolutely could give rise to that. So specifically, let's see.
Tonight, federal prosecutors accusing Sean Combs of relentless efforts to corrupt witness testimony and subvert his criminal case from behind bars. Almost immediately after arriving at the federal jail in Brooklyn, prosecutors say Combs started using telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates to call people not on his approved contact list. Prosecutors alleging Combs frequently instructs family members and his attorneys to add other individuals via three-way call, which is not allowed. An October call made between Combs and one of his adult sons, prosecutors allege, provides the clear inference that the defendant's goal is to blackmail victims and witnesses either into silence or providing testimony helpful to his defense. And prosecutors say Combs is explicit about his intention to use public statements to sway potential jurors, including this Instagram post by his kids.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Prosecutors say Combs enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around the defendant's birthday, the first time we heard his voice from behind bars.
Thank y'all for being by my side and supporting me.
David Combs has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges. He's being held without bail. His defense team continues to push for his release.
So sorry, guys. My computer just completely froze on me. Goodness gracious. So I'm back. Hold on. We're going to go back. What we're talking about is the judge's ruling today in the Diddy case. So apologize profusely. Hold on a second. Sorry. Let me do. I don't know why I got this background. Oh, we're not in my living room. Hold on. Fix this real quick. Let's get back to the jail cell. All right. Back. We're back in Diddy's jail cell. So sorry about that. So what we were adding, hold on, present, we're going to share that screen. It just wouldn't stop, and it wouldn't stop talking either. It was very annoying. All right, here we are. All right, so the judge that's overseeing the case against Diddy, he has ordered federal prosecutors to destroy several pages of Combs' handwritten notes, basically because he feels those are privileged, which they obtained from a raid carried out at the Brooklyn facility where Combs is being held without bail. As he stated, the government should not be in possession of the 19 pages that Judge Aaron I don't care about his name, said at the end of an hour-long hearing today. The judge made the ruling during a hearing today where Combs flashed a big smile as he sauntered in, the first time he appeared without shackles around his ankles. Where'd it go? Yeah, the first time he appeared without shackles around his ankles. The defense had sought to have Combs unshackled during his court appearances, and the judge actually agreed to it. Combs appeared pleased to walk in so freely, smiling at people in the audience and hugging each of his lawyers. I'm sure he wanted to give a wave like Jennifer Williams did when she'd go to court with her little jailbird husband. It says, during the hearing, defense attorney Mark Agnifilio held a stack of notepads, folders, and papers that were initially seized from Combs' bunk and pointed out that Combs has handwritten the word legal on them. His attorney argued that every page from the stack is subject to the attorney-client privilege. Virtually every single thing in these legal pads are matters he discusses with his attorneys. This has been a complete institutional failure, he says. A member of the prosecution team disagreed. Self-labeling something legal does not automatically make it subject to attorney-client privilege, the prosecutor said. The government received these materials through a completely appropriate channel, meaning the raid. In other words, inmates and criminals could literally write legal on a notepad and within it be an entire hit list of who they want to pow and get rid of. And you're saying that a court can't use that against them? Of course not. That doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is how the prosecutors were saying everything was collected in the raid. It was then given to what's called the filter team, who reviewed things and said, hey, this might be privileged. We don't think this is privileged. And then provide that log to the defense counsel in the state. The problem is the defense counsel feels like they should have been notified a lot sooner than they were. It says prosecutors cited Combs' notes in their argument against granting Combs bail. That's the problem. Saying that they left a strong inference that Combs had paid off potential witnesses. The judge said he would no longer consider the example when he decides whether to release Combs on bail during a hearing on Friday. In other words, Lord, this hearing is supposed to cover whether or not, he should, because they're going to keep having these bail hearings until they give this man bail. That's just, we know that's about to happen. And I don't blame them. That's what I would want. If I had the money and everything else, absolutely. I would keep asking for bail until kingdom come. And so that's what they're doing here. But it also appears, here we go. Let me pull that down. It says, I agree with the prosecutors. I hope Puff doesn't walk. Well, also, I had just seen, and hold on, I want to confirm this is true before I bring this to you guys, because someone had texted. Yes. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, Mr. Busby just got. Oh, he got some new suits. Hold on, Mr. Busby just made some commentary. Hold on a moment. I'm gonna add this. There's so much going on. So many crimes, guys. So many crimes keeping us busy. Here we are. So many crimes, not enough time. 2, 6. Hold on. We're gonna add this one back up. Okay, come on. Here we go. Mr. Busby's. All right, Tony. Mr. Busby has just stated, we're going to share this. Oh, he just, ooh. Well, here's what Mr. Busby has just added. Mr. Busby has stated, he says the Busby law firm, along with its co-counsel, is filing 5 more cases today, alleging aggravated assault, abuse, and exploitation against Diddy and those entities with whom he has been affiliated. Several other individuals are referenced in the case filings, but are not at this time formally named as defendants. The cases are being brought for conduct that occurred as far back as the year 2001. The egregious conduct set out in the lawsuits occurred in New York, Miami, and Florida. 3 of the alleged victims of these cases are male, 2 are female. We will let the allegations in the filed complaint speak for themselves, and we'll work to see that justice is done. We expect to be filing cases weekly, naming Mr. Combs and others as defendants as we continue to gather evidence and prepare the filings. So, y'all, we're gonna really stay tuned for these lawsuits, because I believe that these 5 lawsuits, I would not be surprised if one of those is against the John Doe who just filed the extortion lawsuit. We're going to read those names with a fine tooth comb. If we see that name Kevin Hart in there, baby, we may have a little evidence there. If we see Kevin Hart in there, he might be the John Doe. The reason I say that is there's literally nothing that is preventing Tony Busby from just naming John Doe. Literally, there's nothing. There's no law against it or anything else. But now that he's being sued for extortion, one of the best ways to say, no, I'm not trying to sue for extortion, I was merely trying to get an agreed settlement, is now that they're not talking numbers, go ahead, file that lawsuit. File that lawsuit and go prove up your case. Yes, Busby is airing everybody out. Black and Gold says, for my own sanity, I need to disconnect from whether or not Puff gets bail or not. If his lawyers can play the game and win some wins, then good for them. It's the game. Well, I agree. And let me share, I want to share this with you, which I thought was really interesting. Hold on. Here we go. I know I just seen it. Here we are. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming, guys. Breaking news, the judge in the Diddy case just demanded that the prosecution explain why the CEO of Abercrombie was granted a $10 million bail and asked what makes this situation different, instructing them to address it during Friday's bail hearing. I think that is the question on the floor for many people, including lawyers. Many of us lawyers have said, wait a minute, no bail at all, not even with $50 million. Y'all, that is a huge win for Diddy in his decision to seek bail. That's a huge win. Now, mind you, this is a new judge. That's the whole thing. The prior judge that said no bail, there were 2. There was a magistrate, and whenever the magistrate says something you don't like, you always appeal it to the real judge, right? Which the real judge is the district judge. And then there was a district judge. The district judge is a Black man with the last name of Carter. He recused himself. It was alleged that the reason for the recusal is something related to a business that his wife has that could be related. I think his wife may have been a banker and that perhaps Diddy banked there. I'm not exactly clear, but he recused himself. And when he did so, this new judge, Judge Aran, and I can't pronounce his last name, but he sounds to be Indian, like from India. That judge was appointed. So if this judge is asking that question, then it sounds like that judge is implying that he does not feel this is fair. Now, what's been articulated in the legal community is our understanding that the difference between, now we know the main difference between the Abercrombie man and Diddy is that man is very, very white and gay, and Diddy is very, very black and gay. Well, we don't know if he's gay or not, but they're both freaks, okay? Diddy is black and the other man is white. However, what the prosecution now, the government is led by Damian Williams, who is also a black man. The government is saying the key difference here is obstruction of justice, and that the state is actually building, I say the state, I mean the government, the U.S. attorney is building a case to add obstruction of justice as another charge to Diddy. And that by allowing him to remain or to become free, he will be better able to obstruct justice necessary for the trial. One of the best examples of obstruction was, remember when R. Kelly, he had that case against, it was clearly like a 14-year-old girl where he was peeing on the little girl. Well, that case was pretty much locked up. It was video, it was on video, it was all of the things. And then the little girl disappeared. It was alleged that R. Kelly paid off she and her family so that they would not show up to court, and therefore R. Kelly was able to get off that time. So the allegation is that Diddy is dangerous. They're leaning on the Cassie video. They're leaning on the fact that he blew up Kid Cudi's car. They're leaning on the fact that he allegedly paid $100,000 to Kalina. They're considering Kalina from Dirty Money. They're considering that as well as tampering with witnesses. But remember, they've now said that the 19 of those pages that were taken from the jail cell cannot be relied upon in the Friday hearing. Well, if those were the pages that were used to allude that he paid off Kalina and he made three-way phone calls and that he did those other things, that evidence cannot be admitted. It cannot come in. They cannot, nothing that was within those 19 pages or that they gained information on from those 19 pages that have now been excluded can come in. So here we go. So the gist here is this Friday hearing is going to be really interesting. I would not be surprised if he's granted bail. Now that we know the judge has said, come up in here and tell us why y'all done gave this gay boy a $10 million bail who's running around doing the same thing. And you're not even going to give a $50 million to Diddy. I think that deserves a conversation as well. I love seeing it. When I started practicing law, people were like, oh, do you ever represent defendants? I can never do that. And I used to feel that way before I became an attorney. And then I realized the reason that you represent defendants, even the icky, gross, terrible ones, is because you just want to make sure that when they are sentenced, that they're sentenced for their crimes that they did in the facts, not for being Black and not for being poor. So, yeah, hit that like button, guys. It says, I wonder how that 14-year-old feels now from R. Kelly. I believe that family took that money. I do too. I know she's not okay. Ooh, interesting. VNX says, playing the race card is what got Diddy in this situation. Diageo provided legal representation and protected Cassie into the court. Interesting. Yep, he called Kalina about 500 times. I feel like, yeah. And it says, I'm nervous about this. I am too. Well, we're going to stay tuned. That was an intense hearing that they had today. Again, their follow-up hearing, the bail hearing is Friday. At this point, now that the judge is saying, hey, explain yourself, explain why this same district, the state, and it was that the government was okay with the other guy getting bail, is my understanding, after putting up the 10 million. So why is 50 million not okay here? And I'm telling you right now, the argument is going to be the difference is there is no obstruction of justice charge. There's no charge that this man is patently dangerous outside of the nasty, freaky stuff in the, giving people stuff in their drinks that he did at those freak parties with adults. And I think they're also claiming exclusively that those are adult. Now, Diddy's criminal charges at this time are exclusively adult as well. So I do not want y'all to confuse those with the civil charges, because currently the civil charges, they're accusing him of everything under the sun, honey. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and I'll be back later this week with more updates. Let me know what other legal topics you want me to cover below. And don't forget, you can go to SimoneRedwine.com for a consultation. I meet and create legal strategies starting at $149 for half an hour, and I help people throughout the nation. I'd love to help you next. Take care.